report that was launched yesterday, and it was a result of a bit of research that was done. You were alluding to it earlier, Anne. Mm-hmm. What was it?
This report focuses on how diverse boards and actually, in a sense, the senior management committees of listed companies really are. And the importance of this being that you can no longer argue that boards and senior management are the reserve of tall, well-connected men who happen to go to certain schools, who happen to belong to certain professions, mostly business and finance and legal. And that completely misses how the world looks like today. So let me just speak a bit about what I'm implying there. So first of all, the argument that women should not be in boards and senior management because, well, like you were saying, businesses are continuing to make profits, it completely misses the point of why women have missed out on these positions. It misses out on the fact that women are now more educated, women are now aggressively seeking these positions, and they really rightfully need to be in these boards because you need the viewpoints that they bring to the table. Then look at the young people, because there's an argument that has been brought forth when we have been engaging on this report, that young people don't have the requisite experience needed to be in a board. But then there's an argument also that young people are actually leading whole economies. Look at the Silicon Savannah, look at the Silicon Valley in the US, look at the SME sector in Kenya. These young people are actually driving these economies. Now, as you look at the business world, and I'm going to speak for the banking sector where I work, the IT section IT is revolutionizing the way we lead our lives, the way we bank, the way we consume our products, and the lifestyles that we are living. So imagine you're a board that has no young person who understands technology, or has no person who understands technology, and you're the ones devising the strategy for the business into the future. You are dead in the water as you go forward. So it therefore means that there's a place for younger people, there's a place for more diverse professions, and there's a place for women in boards and in management positions if you're a company that is serious about the future.
What needs to be done to increase the number of women in boards in Kenya?
One of the things that perhaps we need to do is legislation. If you look at countries that have strict legislation with punitive measures for not meeting certain quotas, and here we talk about countries like Norway, Spain, and so on and so forth, they have achieved diversity much faster. The other thing also we need to look at is mentorship. And I think it's very clear that for you to rise and get to the C-suite, you need to rise through the ranks. So we're looking at that pipeline, preparation of people through mentorship, so that by the time somebody reaches the higher echelons of, say, management, maybe somebody becomes a senior manager, already they are being mentored to look at to take up senior positions in future. And looking at the current board constitution, where we're saying that the research indicated 21%, and as you said, yes, indeed, we are leading, but we are leading in a continent where perhaps you're not doing that very well. So we need to have deliberate steps taken specifically to mentor the young people, specifically to mentor people of a different gender or different diversity, so that they can rise up through the ranks, knowing very well that eventually they are going to get into the C-suite. The other thing perhaps we might need to look at is that as the Kenya Institute of Management, we also deliberately do this kind of researches specifically to let the public know and the corporates know. And having done the first research in 2012 and done another one in 2015, we continuously keep monitoring the performance by the publicly listed companies, by all other institutions, so that we are saying that the conversation needs to come out of the closet and people need to know that indeed this is where we are. The beauty about this is that institutions like CMA, we were informed yesterday that they'll also be talking about inclusion, and in the reporting system of the public listed companies, people will be required to talk about diversity. And I think this is now what we're talking about in terms of things coming out of the closet and people getting to know what is happening. We have the annual Women Conference, which we hold also on an annual basis, specifically talking about the issues of or challenges that women may be facing in terms of getting into the pipeline, getting into the board. And I think these are the kind of fora that we are encouraging people to get involved in, so that they can get to know what's going on and also prepare themselves mentally to take up senior positions. When you talk about diversity is not just about gender parity. There are several issues that we bring to the board. Issues to do with the age, issues to do with the education, and so on and so forth. Now for age, maybe just to mention at this point in time, it was actually very sad to say that the research indicated that for one to get into the board, you need to be about 52 years of age. And the average age of the board was 58 years. Now, if you look at Kenya as a country, 80% or about 80% are below the age of 35. So the question is, when will they ever get to the C-suite?
How has it worked practically at Barclays that has enabled your organization to get to this vantage 50-50 position?
If you look at our history, in 1972 and 1977, when women were not allowed to make it into management positions, literally women were, at that point, even to open a bank account or to enter into a contractual obligation, by law, they were required to have the consent of a male relative. Barclays backed the trend and appointed 2 women. So Agatha Obare as the first female branch supervisor in the country, and then Dr. Mary Okello, she wasn't a doctor back then, who became the first branch manager. And and due credit to her, she was appointed branch manager of the Westlands branch, which at the time was really performing badly, and she was able to turn it around. Now, from the 1970s, we have made a 40-year journey that has seen deliberate implementation of policies and programs that have seen us to where we are, and created a culture of diversity and inclusion and inculcated it into our DNA. So I'll mention a couple of things that we've done. So we've enacted the Women Network Forum and the Diversity and Inclusion Council, and some of these are implemented right from center, which is the Barclays Africa group, and then here in Kenya. And some of the things we do is that we have mentorship. So like last year, we had 300 women going throughout the ranks, by the way. So not just for the top leadership positions, but you look at from the lower positions. So every woman wants to be promoted. And we have come to learn as you go through the system that ability alone does not get you to the next level. You do need to be mentored to know how to be a 360-degree leader. I think just to wrap this up very neatly is Barclays, it's inculcated it's in the DNA of the bank, and also we've had the support of very good leaders, and I'll mention here our MD Jeremy, our former chairman Francis Okomo Okello, and our current chairman Charles Moshene, and that's great. But to what Muriithi is speaking about, you cannot depend on the magnanimity of the leadership to bring to bear diversity and inclusion in an organization. Sometimes, just like we have in the Constitution a third gender requirement, we may need to have policies that actually that are enforced and that actually force organizations to embrace diversity and inclusion.
Who do you need to be on board creating the strategy but also the vision for your future so that it can be a future that enables your company, your institution, your corporation to grow? That's the real question that you need to be answering now, I think. To Muriithi Ndegwa, CEO of the Kenya Institute of Management and Communications Manager at Barclays Bank of Kenya, thank you ever so much. I realize that I now owe them coffee because I said I would only hold them until 8:20 and 5 minutes later it's squarely in there. Coffee's on me. Music to you. It's a midweek party right here on your best mix of music, 98.4 Capital FM.